to the No BS Short-Term Rental Podcast, an unfiltered look into the global vacation and short-term rental industry.
I'm Mateo Bradford.
And I'm John Stokinger.
And this is our podcast. We bring the right people to the table at the right time, giving you an inside view and take on the short-term rental industry like no other podcast can.
Good morning, Mateo. How are you, man?
Good morning, John. As usual, fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm really good. How was your long weekend? Did you actually enjoy it and relax and unplug a little bit, or did you? I did,
man. It was good, man. Lots of self-care. I think I'm a little fatter, but you know, it was a good weekend. Lots of a couple weeks, man. Just giving thanks, and you know, for me, it's always, you know, the time of year to sit back and, you know, think about the things you're grateful for and thankful for. And so, you know, really spend time just doing that. And, you know, especially through all this craziness and everything going on, you know, it couldn't come at a better time, I think, especially pushing into the holidays. So.
Well, yeah, it was needed. And I know what you're alluding to, and thank goodness for that, you know, most recent, and for those that are listening, we're just talking about some different things that happened in the news. We're happy of the recent outcomes. And so with that said, I took 4 days off last week, which is, I never do. I didn't even work.
Travel time now.
I didn't even work.
Yeah, I shut it down. I definitely shut it all the way down.
Which was pretty good. Went and saw my in-laws in Pennsylvania. Spent some time. Actually, rebuilt a staircase with them. So some accessibility things.
You were gonna say you built a barn. I was gonna die.
No, it wasn't a barn raising. It is. They do live in Amish country though. But it was.
I know. That's what I was saying.
But it was not a barn raising. It was a tear down and rebuild.
Nice.
But it kind of leads to, for those who are listening, and we're super excited. This is actually episode 1 of season 2. Season 2, episode 1. We super exciting news. The announcement would have been dropped yesterday, so hopefully you've already heard it. We are part of the Hospitality FM network. Huge shout out to Will Slickers and that team there. We're so excited to be part of that. We're in to promote that and be part of them. And we have an amazing guest who happens to know Will. I'm not sure to the extent, but it definitely ties into accessibility, and it ties into disability. And it really, she is newer to the rental space, the short-term rental space, but she has been working on this for a long, long time. Let me introduce Lorraine Woodward. Thank you so much for joining us. She is the owner of, or she's on rentABLE. Is that how it's pronounced, Lorraine?
You know, we pronounce it rentABLE. So
okay.
Becoming rentABLE. So it's the rent with a focus on the able.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I am so excited. Thank you for having me.
You're season 2, you're our first.
All right. I like being the first.
Well, good. You're a pioneer.
I don't know if that's age or activity, but yes, we're trying to trailblaze a new area of awareness and focus in the short-term rental space.
And so for those here, I pronounce it rentABLE because if you look at it in how it's printed, it's rent, and then ABLE, able is in caps. So obviously that is why the emphasis is on able. Can you tell us about, in a little bit about, rentABLE, but then, kind of then start at the beginning. And then like you told us previous to us starting recording here that you've been doing this for, I don't want to say forever because, but
I am forever. I'm 59 years old and I'm okay with that.
That's okay. We're both in our 40s. We're not spring chickens anymore.
I got a few ages.
Speak for yourself, John. I don't know what he's talking about.
Mateo's forever 39.
27, brother. 27.
Yeah.
Gotta get it right. Yeah. Hey, man. It's all about how you feel.
That's right. Well, I'm chronologically 59, but I'm still a kid at heart.
Same here.
For sure.
Same here.
So, I have muscular dystrophy. I was diagnosed at 2. So having a disability has been a way of life. And I really can't wish MD on anybody, but I'm actually grateful for my experiences of having MD. And it's led me to where I am, which has been a career in disability. I started advocating, back in elementary school, back in the day before, accessibility was really even thought of. And, then went to college. And I remember before I started classes, I was already doing a little protest. The board of directors was having a meeting and I couldn't get in the building. So I made sure I greeted every board of directors at the foot of the steps, welcoming them to their meeting and wishing that I could be there. But I couldn't because there was no access to the building. So, yes, and I haven't stopped since. And I have 2 boys that are young men now, 24 and 26, who also have muscular dystrophy. And they are mobile, outstanding young men. One is finishing his PhD in electrical engineering. The other one is finished his degree in industrial design. And couldn't be more proud of them. And we didn't vacation, this whole vacation craze wasn't a part of our life because it wigged out my husband, first of all. We go to New York City and my boys are in scooters. I'm in a wheelchair and, it's Times Square. The Today Show's off. Now it's off to the next. And we're beelining it across, Broadway. And my husband's freaking out on the corner. And it's like, they're not going to hit us. There's 3 of us. And he couldn't handle it. So we didn't vacation. And finding places, heavens forbid, that was, hard. So when the boys, left high school, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I had, quote, retired. That lasted for about a week. And then
Retired?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, well, I think retirement's overrated, personally. So I had an opportunity to build a vacation home, and it was for a family. It's like, all right, where can we get away? Where can we go? And the boys were like, Mom, are you crazy? A beach? You're in a wheelchair. We can't walk on sand. Why are you building a beach house? And it's like, chill out. It's going to be good. So I built this place, but I knew I needed money to come in to support it. And so it's like, how can I do this? So I did what I know, and I built it's a 3-story house. It's 90 feet long. So I have a 90-foot art studio downstairs, which is the best in the whole wide world. And then you take the elevator to the 2nd floor. That's the rental property. And it was designed for somebody with the least amount of mobility. And I wanted it also designed for the last stages of life. Thinking about, where do people want to be at their last stages of life? Some people want to be at home. Some people may want to be at the beach. And so crazy idea in my head that I needed to build a bathroom that would accommodate somebody on a gurney and 3 attendants. Now, I don't know why I came up with this idea of a gurney and 3 attendants. So we built this massive bathroom that's like 14 by 14, and it's got an incredible shower. My boys hate it. It's too big. They're like, Mom, you need a shower curtain. It's like, dude, you got a door. Nobody's going to peek in and look at you. Enjoy the
Lock
space.
The door.
And so we have the hospital bed. We have extra outlets for oxygen, the wheel under sinks, it's fully accessible. And then the 3rd floor is what I call the private residence. And that is, so the boys and I can always hang out, and I'm at the beach as much as I humanly possibly can. My joy as I turned 59 this past year, I said, okay, Lorraine, you got to do one more thing. The beach house is built. We now have renters full time. 90% of our renters are people with disability. And my joy in life is being at the beach house, getting to know my renters, because my renters are renters who have vacationed for the first time in 28 years because there hasn't been a property that they could access. Our renters are from Canada, from California, from Maine, and I'm asking this.
Where is this located, Lorraine?
Carolina Beach, North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a cute little island called Pleasure Island, and it's 5 miles long, 3 miles wide, and it's just a little slice of heaven. And so I'm asking these families, I'm like, why are you traveling from California to Carolina Beach, North Carolina? And they said, well, there's nothing else like it. It's like, no, no, that can't be true. There's got to be more accessible properties. And they're like, no, Lorraine, it's not. And so I'd ask the next family, and everybody's telling me the same story. And that's how the idea came. I was taking a shower because for whatever reason, the shower is a happy place that my creativity just explodes. So after Christmas last year, I said, okay, we're going to do a TV show. Again, like the gurney and the three attendants, why am I thinking a TV show? Come on, Lorraine. I'm like, well, what brings you joy is making a difference in people's lives, making a difference where there is a niche that needs to be filled. And how can I get this information out? And it's like, well, you can get it out by having a TV show. So I called a friend of mine who is in that space, and I said, Valerie, what do you think? She's a producer. She goes, I love it. An hour later, she's like, Lorraine, she calls me, you've got to do this. The next day, she calls me, she's like, this is brilliant. So I started working with a team of volunteers, and that's who we are. Right now, we're a volunteer-based effort at becoming rentable. And so we came up with our script. We came up with our idea. So everything that we're doing right now is all about that TV show. So
that TV show, Lorraine, that hasn't aired yet, has it?
It hasn't, but that's what part of this is all about.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
There you go.
So,
big news. Heard it here first.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what do we need producers to see? Well, producers want people to watch their show. So how do we show that we've got support in this? So I thought, okay, we've got to do a survey. These ideas of what needs to be in an accessible property are our ideas. Now we need validation. How do we get validation? Right. So we get it by doing a national survey. Well, you got to get this survey out to people. How do you do that? Well, you call your friends at Easter Seals and say, Easter Seals, this is what I'm doing. Can you help me? Sure, no problem. They help get the survey out to their group. Muscular Dystrophy Association. They say, yeah, United Cerebral Palsy, great idea, we'll help you out. So we started building this network of supporters to get our release out or their survey out so that we could get validation. And we're right on the mark of what people are looking for and needing. So it's like, all right, that's good. Now we're going to create this TV show. So what are you gonna film? What's going to be on the show? So it's a 30-minute show. It's 13 episodes. And it's like your a Property Brothers kind of show. Yeah, you deal with the scenario up front. You show the construction, the renovation. You carry a story throughout, and then you have the big reveal at the end. Our first show is about a family from actually Durham, North Carolina. Go Duke. Mateo, I know you're from Atlanta, so you might get some of our ACC vibes down at...
Look, I'm a Morehouse guy. That's as far as it goes with Atlanta. The rest of my life is Pac-12.
Basketball then, because we've got you covered there. So anyway, it's a family, a gentleman, 34. He has cerebral palsy. Has an intellectual disability, and he's blind. And his caregiver, Wendy, has been with him for 28 years. And Sloan loves to travel, wants to come to the beach. they can't find a place. They look for 2 years before they find our place. So we tell their story about how they found the place, what are their needs, and we build that room. And at the end of, so in the show, you have 2 pullouts. One is what is cerebral palsy, or what is that disability that we're focusing on. And then the second pullout in the show is about the construction. What do you need to make a room wheelchair accessible? What do you need to do to make a bedroom walker friendly? And then at the end of the show, we have a link that people can go to that's kind of like behind the scenes, shop the look. You know, what paint color did you use? Where did that Hoyer lift come from? What was the name of that group that Sloan has, that condition called, so that people can use this as a resource, learn from it, and make their rental property accessible and bring in more revenue for families. And so that was the next, so everything that we're doing, you can see, goes back to the TV show. We're doing a lot of different things. So with the TV show, you have to have these properties. So we've got a condo, and our geographic area for the show is vacation destinations and college and university environments. And again, thinking about short-term rentals, where instead of making this global, every short-term rental everywhere, we want to be very targeted to where we're going. So those are the 2 areas. So every house and property that we feature is either in a vacation destination location or a college and university environment. So we have our vacation destination property at Carolina Beach. That's episodes 1 and 2. Our next property is a condo on the NC State campus, on Centennial campus. It's being built for a young man with muscular dystrophy who will be making it a short-term rental, an accessible short-term rental. All of our properties are accessible. That was that, obviously. And then we have a executive property on the banks of the Tennessee River in Knoxville. And then as we're looking at this, it's like, okay, where is this property that people can go to, see, learn from? So we're building a model property, because for us at Becoming Rentable, we believe accessibility is not just mobility. It's not just being in a wheelchair. So I am happy to say on this show that we are going to be featuring and looking at accessible properties for short-term rental that include mobility, walker friendly, intellectual and developmental disabilities and autism, vision and hearing. So you will be able to go to our site and look for a property that is autism friendly. You will be able to go to our site and find a property that is walker friendly. And so nobody globally is doing what we're doing. We are the first anywhere that will have the depth of accessibility. We are looking at changing the way people look at accessible short-term rentals.
I love this. I absolutely love this. I think it's amazing. I think that, you know, you're tapping into something that has been needed for a long time. And again, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, you know, as far as inclusion. And this is a big part of inclusion. Inclusion is not just, you know, race. It's not just, you know, sexual orientation. It's everything. And this is in today's day and age, this is overlooked because it doesn't get the media attention. And the media attention drive a lot to injustices that are out in front of us on social, on the news and whatever. But unfortunately, you know, the injustices of accessibility to those with disabilities are I don't know the numbers. I'm sure you can go ahead and rattle the numbers off much quicker, but they're just as important. And so having this, I absolutely love this. Are you with this? So this is a website that, you know, for a listing site, are you like certifying, like say a property management company comes to you and says, you know, we have XYZ homes. They, I think they meet the criteria, or is there going to be a way that they could go to your website and say, this has, and all the doors are 36 inches wide. All the thresholds are flat, whatever. I'm not sure, the means of egress or whatever, is there going to be a way that you can get certified as rentable?
I love you, because this is our plan for 2022, is that we, right now, everything that we offer is no charge for anybody. It's all about education and making a difference. That's where we've started, and that's where we will continue. But as we look at growth, we want to provide that educational information so that we can see this industry grow, and we can see people. We talk about living your best life. Well, how can you live that best life if you're not giving opportunities? So we are creating a certification program, and your home can be certified as a wheelchair accessible home, as a walker friendly home, as an IDD autism home, as for the visually impaired. So there's going to be multiple certifications. We will provide consulting services. So you are an investor and you want to build 1, 2, or 5 rental properties, and you want us to consult on exactly what do we need to make this, what does this look like? And that's what we're doing with the little yellow, the property in Arkansas is called the Little Yellow House, because it's a cute little bungalow. I couldn't come up with a better name, and it just kind of rolls off the tongue easily, the Little Yellow House. So in the Little Yellow House, we gutted it. We've extended it. So today we're filming where the outlets are, because outlets are a lot easier when they're elevated 18 inches off the floor for everybody. It's easier for mobility when the light switches are lowered by 6 inches. So what does that look like in a construction phase? So we are doing that. So we can consult people from the very beginning, or we have a renovated property. A lot of properties, believe it or not, on the marketplace are not labeled and as such, but it's like, particularly in our larger homes, that the doors are wider. There is a hard surface that's not carpet. There are a lot of rugs, and I call wheelchairs rug eating machines, because that's what we do. We get near a rug of any size, and our wheelchairs just go, and before you know it, you've got a rug underneath your chair. And so, and roll-in showers. I mean, that's the spa shower these days. But guess what? It's also a wheelchair accessible shower. It's a roll-in shower. So we can consult on your language. My favorite so far are mirrors. So if you go and you start looking at short-term rentals, and you go and you start clicking on, VRBO has 2 filters, and that is wheelchair access and elevator. VRBO has added 13. We can talk about some of those. So
you just Lorraine, just for clarification, you said VRBO for both ones. Which one has 13? Which one has 2?
Okay. VRBO has 2 filters for accessibility. Okay. Airbnb has 13. Becoming rentable will have 33.
Okay.
So we are going to that degree of accessibility. And so we want to educate these managers, these property managers, to say, let's look at your inventory. What words are you using? What photographs are you taking? Again, mirrors are my favorite, because you have this whole great, beautiful roll-in shower and a mirror that's 6 feet in the air. Well, that's great for somebody standing, but you can have a tilted mirror that would work for both people. You can have a mirror that's really elongated to meet that need. So we will provide those kind of services. We're going to do educational seminars and webinars, and really work our best to get this information out there. We'll populate our map. Our focus is the continental U.S. We've had people from all over the world say, hey, we want to do a model, property in London. Will you come to Europe and do this? Will you do this in Spain? No, we're staying in the U.S.
Well, you have to start someplace, and you have to, you have to build it out, and you have to get, it's hard to, scaling is hard. And you have to start and refine it and build it. And once you have that model and you have that foundation, then you can go from there. But I agree, keeping it in one place, is and the interest from overseas is fantastic. And maybe someone overseas will want to go ahead and do something as well.
Well, I think, and my question is, thinking about what you're doing in looking at it in terms of two lanes that are running side by side, but are also very different. I'm actually very much intrigued by this purposefully, deliberately built, property versus the retrofitting. And I have a whole lot of questions in terms of
bring them on, baby, bring them on.
Because I know that, when you retrofit, there's sometimes there's restrictions in terms of what you can really build, but I really think that, in seeing the gap that you're filling in all of these vacation rental communities, like there's nothing like what you've built for yourself. My mind's kind of blown in that space, because a lot of this is out of sight, out of mind. Like you've said multiple things. Who didn't think you can't go to the beach, like, and walk and enjoy the sand and all of these things? And then I won't even get into the hospice care that you kind of brought in, which I think is completely brilliant, and in a business sense, but it's also from a humanitarian sense of my own self. Like, I'd much rather, pass looking at the ocean, as opposed to looking at the picture on a TV in some bland hospital, just myself personally. And so talk to me about that part, because I think that's there's so many different opportunities that you seem to be on the forefront of, but I think that part of deliberately building these entities separates you from hotels, separates you from hospitals and hospice care now, and actually puts you in an entirely different space of hospitality that no one's really scratched the surface of.
Well, we've had 2 end of life. I'll try not to cry. Hardest thing ever emotionally.
You can cry on the no bullshit short-term rental podcast.
But also, what a privilege. What a privilege.
Amazing.
So we had one this summer, was of a young man. He was in a coma actually 2 days before their vacation. He's been in hospice, and he wanted to pass away and be at the beach. And they couldn't find anything. They found us. And mom and dad, coolest family ever. We now have a beach wheelchair too, so they could go down to the beach. They sat on the ground. They had their legs spread out. Their son was between their legs. He was holding them, and he was smiling as the water, would rush up over his leg. And you could see him smile. He woke up out of his coma 2 days. So they knew, they really believed in their hearts that he knew. They kept telling him, we're going to the beach, we're going to the beach, we're going to the beach. And he came to the beach, and they were on the beach, the water, going up, and then they could put him back in the chair, come back to the house, rest, go back to the beach. Every day they went to the beach. And what a gift. That's why I love being at the beach with my renters. And what love. What incredible love. Our first end of lifer was a man from Maine who came down to the beach for 4 months. And his wife said after his passing that this was the happiest time of his life. And to be able to offer that, to him and have so much joy. He went fishing. He went and bought oysters. And he calls me, he says, Lorraine, I didn't know you weren't supposed to put oyster shells in your disposal.
Oh my gosh.
And so, what do you do? I'm gonna kill you? No. And so, but it's a gift, and that's the other thing about all of this. So many times, and I'm a property owner, and I am investing this revenue to build the yellow house. So we use that revenue. That is an important revenue piece for us. So, and we have had the success financially because of our niche. But it's not about that. I think that what property owners will find is the emotional benefit, satisfaction, and gratitude that they have a part in playing in families' lives. And it's all about the dollar. I know that.
And speaking of all about the dollar.
It is, but also, let's be real. This is significant, right? It is about the dollar, but the reality is the focus has to be brought forward, that yes, it can be, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. It can be about the dollar and be for good too as well, right? If it's deliberately designed that way. And oftentimes it works out, you know, when people don't see or understand or know that, hey, like there's a huge portion of people that are not being served. And we're uncovering I think we're lucky, John, because we get to see all these kind of niche spaces, and I call them niche just because they haven't been popularized, right? Like most people haven't found them, and they're very specific to a certain demographic, but they're huge, and their value is very much significant, and it's great to see them coming to the forefront, right? Like it is now. And so I hope it's lucrative. I hope it's lucrative for everybody so it can expand.
I have some questions on that lucrativeness. So, yeah. And I know it's, you know, it's not the focus, but for some listening, you know, there needs to be an ROI for when you're going in front of a board, or you're a property management company that's got 500 units, and you're looking to go ahead and purpose build some more units. Do you have numbers based on, what is, you said that, people are coming from California, from Maine to North Carolina because you're one of a handful probably in all of the US. What are the numbers behind that? Do you have those numbers that you could share with us? And if, say, a company were to go ahead and spend $500,000 building one of these like purpose-built homes on the beach, or $1 million or whatever, what is the ROI of something like that?
Right.
Can you charge more? Do you charge more for accessibility? I know that morally you don't want to, but you could.
I know I could, and that is something my husband and I talk about. I charge on the lower end because I know personally the expense of, we have an electric hospital bed in Raleigh at our family home, but we have 2 at the beach, one for the 2nd floor, one for the 3rd floor. There's a lot of ancillary cost involved when you have different types of disabilities and expenses. So I am below the market average at the beach. And we could be more, but I'm comfortable and happy with the amount of money that we're getting in. We're making a profit. We're making a substantial profit.
Right.
And I'm fine with that. My husband, of course, would like to see more. And it's like, why? Do we really need that money?
Well, I think that, if that money were then to be used to build more homes, I mean, then you can kind of justify or make it more accessible to more people, then you could justify the means.
Well, here's where the numbers lay out. So when I told you we did this survey, at the same time from February to June of this year, we have a team of researchers. And so our researchers took Airbnb and VRBO. So we went through every property on Airbnb site. For 4 months, we go through every one of the properties that was listed accessible. And we went through some very minor, I think, areas of recognition. Do you have wide doorways that are wider than 32 inches? And again, this is a visual look because we only can know what we see.
Right.
Do you have a roll-in shower? So we really looked at mobility only, and we looked at 4 areas of access to the front door, access to get into the front door, a roll-in shower, and a roll-under sink somewhere in the house. Those were the 4 things we looked at. So in our first area with Airbnb, we found that 23 states in the United States had 0 accessible properties, 0 with that criteria. The balance, we found 85 properties. Out of the, I don't know how many thousands that they have, we found 85.
In the whole U.S.
And
across Vrbo and Airbnb, 85 properties total.
Airbnb alone.
Airbnb alone.
And again, because there was not validation, people self-populate what they're going to put on their website. It says, are you wheelchair accessible? Yeah, we're wheelchair accessible. You can get through this door, maybe sideways, but yeah, we're good. Click. Do you have this? And they don't know, a lot of people don't know the language. They don't know what it means because they may not have a disability, a friend or a family member. So they have their ideas. And what we were looking for, they didn't have. Not to say that they didn't have other things, but what we were looking for, because I'm looking for myself, I'm in a wheelchair to travel, which I don't. I have to have a roll-in shower. I have to have a roll under sink. I have to get into that space. So we looked at that. So then we started with VRBO. That's been a greater challenge because they have 2 filters. They have wheelchair accessible and an elevator. So you click those filters and it says 700,000, properties. And then you click it to the United States and now we're at 350,000 properties. We have found minimal properties that meet our criteria on VRBO. So we're looking at the most 85 properties. Now here's the crazy thing with Airbnb. We did 2 rollouts with Airbnb of this big rollout that they had a few months ago, last month. We were on HGTV's top 10 most accessible properties in the United States. Guess who's not on Airbnb's filter system right now? Our property. And I'm going, Molly, what the heck is going on? We did 2 of your 3 rollouts. We've got these credentials and it's like, it takes time. So Airbnb has a great big rollout that's taken place. I call them and I write to them every single day since the rollout going, hey, I look at their wheelchair accessible rental properties, North Carolina. We're not there. Let's bring this down to Carolina Beach, North Carolina. We're not there. Why aren't we there? Airbnb says it takes time. How much freaking time does it take for an existing property that you've worked with 2 out of your 3 rollouts? So, we're talking no BS here.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I worked for Hopper. So, we're starting up our own, which is the #1 travel, app right now in the world. We haven't gone live yet with vacation rentals, but this is really important. And I love hearing this because this is, these are things that are going to be important for us that I'm going to make sure that we are prioritizing, at least, when it comes in and having it being on a questionnaire that they can go ahead and fill out. And I'm going to definitely be reaching out to you to make sure that we are doing this correct from the beginning. And I want to kind of continue with the numbers here. You talked about that there's 85 properties in the US that actually meet the criteria based on just mobility accessibility.
Okay. So that gives me the most I'm sorry, but now I'm psyched. So you're not supposed to have favorite children, right? Never a favorite child. Right? Well, I have a new favorite child in my world of accessibility, and I'm so stoked about being able to reach out to the IDD and autism community. It's such an incredible community. I feel personally that some of my very favorite people in the whole wide world have intellectual developmental disabilities and autism. And why is that? Because there's no filters. And I have no filter. And that's a good thing and it's a really bad thing.
We have no filter.
I have no filter.
If you listen to our podcast, you know that.
Right. And so, I'll go to an event and somebody, a mile away go, Miss Lorraine! And it's like, you don't have shoes on. And it's like, well, John, why do I need to wear shoes? I'm in a wheelchair. And I love it. So being able to reach the autism IDD community is so exciting to me. We're working with the executive director of Easter Seals in Arkansas, and they predominantly provide services to individuals with IDD and autism. And so I'm like, John, work with me. What does it take to have inaccessible properties for individuals with autism and IDD? What does that look like? And I've learned so much, and we're going to be able to do these webinars and provide, we're right now creating, it should be almost done, a how to make your rental property accessible for somebody with IDD and autism.
Is it mostly sensory stuff?
It is. It's, it is having soothing colors. So my property at the beach is not a really great place for somebody who needs soothing colors, because I love color, i.e. a green sweater. It is having blackout, somewhere that has blackout shades that's dark. You have to look at your lighting, making sure you don't have fluorescent lighting. You look at your lighting so it doesn't have any strobing effects. So there's a list that we're putting together that will allow you to look at. So let's say when you go to our website at becomingrentable.com, you can go, I'm looking for a property in the United States that I need walker friendly, a wheel under sink, and an autism focus. And we'll populate that and tell you what it has. And that's where the certification program will be coming in. We have 6 properties that will be populated when we go live in December that are autism friendly. We have 0 for vision, 0 for hearing. Bottom line is, there are no filters. People have not thought about it, so properties aren't listed in that way.
Right.
We'll be able to give you a list of what is required, and we're inviting people to come to us to say, hey, our property is a great candidate for this.
Right. And those that are listening, there are property managers that listen to our show that have hundreds, if not thousands of properties that are in their pool. If you have a property that is close to this, it might not have, and it's just a little bit of modifications, please reach out to us. Please reach out to Lorraine. All of her information will be on the website. You can go ahead and click on there to get a hold of her. We'll have her LinkedIn, contact information there as well. Lorraine will definitely be able to push you in the right direction. I want to get back to the numbers because you guys super excited. But I didn't forget. You talked about 85 properties.
Yes.
What is, but the 85, how many disabled and I say disabled and accessibility or whatever how many potential renters are there out there that aren't able to go on vacation or aren't able to do that? Like, what is, like, how many, what's the pool that these property managers and these homeowners are looking to be able to tap into that they don't have access to now? Do you know an approximation?
Oh yeah, 62 million.
That's it?
62 million. 25% of the population in America. 2% of our population in America actually, let me back up. Let me not say what I was going to say. So I'm going to stop there. But
okay, rewind.
62 million Americans have disabilities. Airbnb has reported that they receive 70,000 unique visitors every week looking for an accessible property. Let's look at that.
With 85 units.
With 85 properties in America that we've identified as meeting our 4 criteria that are accessible. So we're looking at 25% of the country looking for properties. We know from one platform that they are identifying that 70,000 visit them, unique visitors. That's key. Looking for these 85 properties.
That's insane. That's insane.
And it's 2021, and we're just now looking at accessibility beyond a wheelchair. Hello.
Well, it's like everything we go through is 2021 and diversity. 2020, like everything that we like a huge part of what we talk about. This shit should have been addressed. A, should never have been an issue, and B, it should have been addressed. Forever ago. Like this is not new. This is not like something that's like, it's like these numbers are mind blowing, but what, to me, like I had no idea, like 70,000 unique visitors a week looking to go ahead and rent 85 homes. Are you kidding me?
You know how much disposable cash is left on the table?
There's so I love this. This is one of our most powerful episodes to date. I think this is fantastic. I really, really, Lorraine, are you involved with VRMA?
VRM? No. No. Yes. And yes. I'm on their LinkedIn. That's it.
Okay. So I'm on the membership committee. We are on different committees. We are on the diversity, equity, and inclusion subcommittee. Mateo is a co-chair of that committee. You need to be involved with VRMA. You need to be at the spring forum that happens in Chicago in April, or I say both, you need to have some sort of presence at VRMA in October at the international show. These are super, super important. We can introduce you to anyone and everybody that you want and need to be introduced to. We want you on our panel that we have. We do different things with inclusion and accessibility, and we need your voice, and we want you part of that. 100%. Will be there. I mean, we're all going to be part of all these different things. So this is number one. You need to become a member of VRMA for 2022, and tap into that. We want you on our subcommittee for DEI. So let's make that happen. I think it's a huge step for you to get in front of the right people that are looking to go ahead and put their money in the right places.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the right place, and they don't know about it yet. That's a problem.
And I'm not slamming Airbnb or VRBO or Red Awning or any of these groups. And I've talked with specifically Airbnb, particularly as we're building this model property. I'm going, hello, people. One of your best business decisions you ever could make is to be a part of this little yellow house. I mean, this is an educational opportunity here, and that's how we're going to see growth. That's how we're going to see change. We went to school to learn 1 + 1 is 2, and that's, and when we're taught. But we're not taught in these accessibility areas. But so if we teach you, kind of like they will come. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is get the message out. And I really appreciate your support, because we've only been doing this for 10 months. And I'm really stoked about how our volunteers have come together. I've got a team of 8 that are dynamo, who really believe in what we're all about. And we're ready for that next step. And I'm so happy to be a part. This is my first podcast too. So I'm like, yes. So I'm really so happy, and I appreciate your support, because we want to make a change, and we're going to see that change happen.
No, I love it. The what for homeowners or hosts or property managers that are listening, and again, we stress this almost every episode, not a tips and tricks, but if there's like the one thing, if they could start someplace, what is the best thing that they could do to go ahead and start the process of making their homes accessible? Okay.
You could go to becomingrentable.com.
Right. And there'll be a link in the website too, and on the post. On
our website, we have a list of our filters, and you can go through there. It has a threshold. What is a threshold? What does it look like? When you say 0 threshold entry, that's Greek for a lot of people. What the heck are they talking about, right? So you can go on our website and you can see what a 0 threshold entry is and why we have it. You can then see the door space. So the best thing they can do is go to our website and look, do we have 36-inch doors? And this is what we call a 36-inch door. Do you have a roll-in shower? Do you have a step-in shower? What is the difference between those? So it's understanding, so you can go and look and see what of these things that you have. And then you can always call us to say, what does it take to have these things? The second thing there's 3 things. Then go to our website. They can look at the language and how they describe their properties. So if they have 36-inch doors existing in their properties, say that in your description. If you have a hard surface driveway, say that in your description. And then follow it up with a photograph. You go to these sites and you see the beautiful waves and the birds and the amusement park. That's lovely. But that's what another search is for. We want to know what your property's like. So let's see your door entry. Let me see your driveway. Let me see the front of your property. Those things matter. And let's see, your roll under sink. So let's look at, so many times photographs in a bathroom are taken from the chest level up, so you never see the floor. We want to see the floor. If you're reaching people that use a wheelchair, walker, a cane, they need to see the floor. So let's show pictures of the floor.
A big takeaway that I just got out of this: if you're going to click on one of these listing sites that you are accessible, go ahead and show the photos that back that. Don't just say you're accessible because of course they're going to allow you to click whatever you are. Right. So that's a big takeaway that I just got out of that is, obviously all those things are very important, but back it with, photo proof. Because I would assume there's nothing worse than showing up to a rental that you were expecting to be accessible and you can't get through the door, or that threshold is more like a jump.
Bumpity bump. Right.
You're going to have to really floor it if you have one of the mobility scooters to get over it. It's amazing. Teo, what else do you got here?
That was, I'm still just mind blown at the lack of opportunity here. I would agree. I would get involved with VRMA and our groups as soon as possible. I think that will be a megaphone and actually, in terms of allowing you to be a resource and pairing with managers that are willing and able to, make whatever changes that they need. And we're a community, one of the largest community of professional managers within the space. And they care about issues like this. And I think you'll find willing ears and active participants in terms of people that want this for their business and want to know how, because a lot of what they want to know is how, and how can we do this? How can we get engaged? What does it take? And that's from all of the things you're doing, from, hey, how can we help you build more of these purpose-built homes? That there's 62 million people out here that, that need this, as well as those who, hey, we may or may not have homes that we can retrofit and make better. And maybe there's even little things that we can do within that space. And so that will give you the willing audience, plus the kind of megaphone to let it be known, as it's been made known to us. Like, we know these things on the periphery, but we really don't think about, when we're traveling or when we're talking about all of these things within our space, the accessibility issues, right? Like, oh, that's things hotels deal with. But
so I'll leave you with my last story here. I met with a team of investors about 3 weeks ago, and they said they had 17 properties in a mountain community. And they said, so we had a Zoom meeting and we all were a part of it. And they said, so did you go look at our properties? And I said, yeah, I did. Well, did you see our accessible property? Yeah, I did. Is it accessible? No, it's not. And they were like, well, I guess we need to quit the Zoom meeting now. We're done. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, Lorraine, all of these properties are in mountains. There's steps. And I'm like, so, people with autism climb steps. People who are blind and visually impaired climb steps. So we started talking about, I said, there are a lot of ways that you can make your property accessible that are not mobility based. So let's talk about that. With the end of the meeting, one of the investors said, I stand up, we're going to make our property autism friendly. And I'm like, there you go. Just when you think, oh, we can't do it. Yeah, you can. You have to be open-minded. You have to look at different aspects. For less than $1,000, you can now reach a percentage of the population that is not being reached.
Yeah, and I think that's huge.
It's amazing, and I'm glad there needs to be more visibility on this. And whatever we can do to help, we're 100% behind you and becoming rentable, and I'm gonna just reiterate that there are amazing communities that VRMA, VRMB. There's different that you should get involved with. We can introduce you to some great people that would again help this springboard, I think, really into the short-term rental vacation rental space here in North America, and then globally, if that's something you're looking to do.
Amy, VRM Intel. I mean,
the Women's Summit starts tomorrow.
Summit would be fantastic to have you. They'd be elated, I'm sure, to have you there and speaking to other women business owners, and you being at the helm of this. Again, don't want to take that away. This is incredible, everything that you're doing. So we definitely want to make sure that that's highlighted, and I think your voice is in there is a very clear lane here that seems to be just getting, brought to the forefront. So this is incredibly exciting. So
well, and it's exciting. The first one of the second season, baby. Let's come back again at the end of the season and let's see where we are.
100%.
Welcome. Absolutely. And at that point, we'll have bullied you into all kind of different organizations and
bring them on. I'm up for it.
Absolutely.
Well, Lorraine, thank you so much for joining us. I feel like my mind has been blown, and some heartstrings were pulled. This is a powerful episode, and we really appreciate what you're doing, who you're doing it for, the selflessness that's behind what you're doing. And let's see how we can help make a difference here.
Very good. Thank you very much.